This is being filmed, so we can't be shit.
Okay.
Okay? And that goes for all of you as well.
No, it's more of a comment than a question. None of that, right?
I was doing bedtime with my daughter the other night, and she was asking me some questions about the book we were reading, and she was just trying to delay going to sleep. And I said, okay, have you got any more questions, or can I go back to reading the book? And she goes, this is more of a song than a question. I don't know where she got that from. Song about hedgehog.
Well, just to get this back on track, because this is the sort of looseness that I will not tolerate. It is so nice to be asked to do this, particularly after this film, because I have lived my whole life in this city and always been involved in kind of DIY cultures of different kinds, and have made a lot of very bad things and a couple of okay things. And this film, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the really great things that's come out of this scene. And I know I'm old enough to be your Maz, but I've known Conor probably 10 years, 15 years when you were starting in stand-up, doing your weird stand-up gig. I remember our first gig together, you managed to get stared at in Dunleary College of Art and Design, and that really takes something. When they think something is weird, because you spoke about fonts for 25 minutes, if I remember correctly, and that you have made this, the two of you, and that there are so many people here whose names are at the end, or just being involved in this scene that we've been involved in. I think just to give it a massive round of applause, I think, for Conor, and for everyone here as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a good 10 years worth of favours going into the making of that. You know, I had to leave the city soon after we made it, and I was like, I need to cash all these little favours in that I know.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it had a Top Gun type budget, and everyone had been basically given retirement money. Brian Quinn is now living in the Seychelles in a mansion. It is. So when you asked me to do this, I love the work that my friends do, but I was also like, great. I mean, this could be terrible. And then I've watched it twice now, and I genuinely love it. I mean, if you were to design a film for me in terms of my Venn diagrams, I love bicycles, I'm a rap-renting landlord, that's a joke, it's Tara Flynn she seems nice with all her good works, but turns out, and then to have the city itself, what was just Conor, what was the first idea that you had to start this film? Was a bicycle stolen? Was that it?
I actually did have a bicycle stolen from that exact spot, but I didn't realise that until after I made the film. Actually, I got a bike robbed from that street one day. No, I think I watched Ocean's 11 and I was like, how can I rip this off? I didn't notice it.
Succeeded there, I think.
It's just Ocean's 11, that's all it is.
And George Clooney, when were you approached?
I know, what kind of actor I know that has the charm of Clooney?
How did he pitch it to you then, Roxanna? Because can I just, you hold this together completely, especially with it is a joy to watch a movie where I pretty much know exactly where every postbox you walk past is, but also my friends keep turning up in every scene as well, sometimes wearing my clothes. And so how did he pitch it to you? How did he get you in there?
He just sent me a message, I was like, I want to make this film, and like, as an actor, that happens all the time. People are like, I'm developing something, and I really have in my ears, like, and like, as you get older, you realise, like, that's never gonna happen. People are always developing things and nothing comes of it. And so Conor was like, do you want, I'm thinking of doing this, and you're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get some fun together, and then I'll be back in 6 months, and then in a year, and he's just like, alright, you're free on Thursday, do you want to come around to my house for a curry? And I was like, Yeah, so we went around. I read it. I was like, this is insane. Like, I don't know how he would ever like even make it. Like, and then we went around, and there was a group of comedians that I knew, and it was like they're all got to be in it as well. But then it turned out that we were filming it at the same month of Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Wow.
So none of them were in it. So I was like, this person's playing this part. So then next time I was like, yeah, none of them are in it, just you now.
Yeah, I can imagine he was like, yeah, I've got Dylan Moran lined up as the guy who lives in the tent.
Yeah.
Oh, none of them could do it at the last minute. And so how long was the shoot then?
We did say it was August, so we did like some of the
21-ish days, I think.
Yeah, and then there was a few pickups and eagle eye. I'm not eagle eye, like literally anyone with a pair of eyeballs will see that my hair changes so drastically from scene to scene in certain places. So you're like bleach blonde highlights, and next one like my roots are down to here. Like I turn a corner and I have my hair up. It's like, because we were just kind of going, and then the thing with the t-shirts where I was like, what t-shirt was I wearing in this? Connor's bought like 10 t-shirts, and that was my costume.
Spreadsheet of all the t-shirts.
A spreadsheet of like, on this day you were in this t-shirt.
Shout out that spreadsheet for doing a lot.
Yeah, but we filmed it in 2018, and like it was so funny because Conor was like having a housing nightmare at the time, which is where that wasn't really in much of the original script, if at all.
No.
And then, so all that was just kind of happening in real life, and it kind of went in. It was so funny because we kept joking because it was like 2018, and like, Jesus, like I hope every time this film comes out, the housing prices and solves, because no one will even get it then. But thankfully, it's still going. It's more relevant than ever, more relevant.
Yeah. We have to be very careful about putting numbers on the rent, because it's like, if we say, the rent is €1,800, that could be pretty reasonable sounding this time. We need to be sure to just go.
We should make 10% more.
Oh, it's 15%.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
It's so powerful. Like at the end when the places you filmed it are listed, and what they're all
hotels.
Yeah.
More of them are gone now since I made those credits, I think, as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So originally the idea was just a bicycle thief film.
I was like, wouldn't it be good if I made a heist movie where someone has to get a bike back? And then I wrote down, her bike is stolen, she gets it back. And then I kind of filled in blanks. And I was like, it's about being angry. And I was like, no, it's not about being angry, because she's right to be angry. And I was like, it's about community. It's about being independent, and that's what it's about. Blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, I get... what do you... Because what I get from it is connection, because it's ultimately a connection to a bike that goes, and there's also connection to a place, the city, that's kind of going as well. Yeah. With you being the living example, because you don't even fucking live here anymore. No. But what way did you approach it then? Because your anger in it is beautiful and frightening. When you beat the shit out of the guy on Thomas Street with the pizza bag. Yeah.
I mean, like, anyone who's ever cycled around Dublin for 10 minutes, I will all totally understand. It's a thing. But I think like Max is like, she's like, I mean, she is selfish, and I love when Kat says like, I find her selfish as charming, because like it's just such a funny thing where you have a protagonist who is like absolutely so selfish, takes advantage of all her friends, it's horrible, like beats, but you're still like rooting for her the whole time, and you're still like and I think it's just like it's like and I'm a cycle, like I cycle everywhere as well, and it's just like this thing where people have such a disdain for you, and like it's like, cyclist this, cyclist that. And I feel like with the housing thing and the cycling thing, is that thing like, what if there was just one person living who just vented all that anger that was in like the opening thing of opening what's some of his characters name, landlords, like and just being like, I need to be here to turn right. Like that was the first thing I read. It was the first thing we filmed. And it was that thing where it's like, all the time people are beeping and shit, and you're like, this is where I fucking need to be. What do you not get about that? Like, how else am I going to turn this corner? So it's just like, this is the person who hasn't got that like filtration of like, okay, just say fuck you and keep cycling.
My partner Rachel did that. Rachel plays the head of the courier gang, and she actually on Parliament Street one day was beeped when she was turning right, and the guy refused to roll down his window, and so she just opened the door and started talking to him. I think probably a lot more politely than
Rachel's so nice, I feel like.
It's mad how shell-shocked we are from Dublin, because I live in Glasgow now, which you should also do. And me and Rachel were cycling home, and we had our daughter on Rachel had our daughter on the front of her bike on a little seat, and a taxi driver starts beeping her, and we were like, Rachel's like, oh, what the hell's going on? And I'm ahead of her, and so the taxi driver's kind of pulling up against Rachel and beeping at her, and she's like, what the fuck? And so she goes on ahead, and I put my bike in the road, and I start going, what are you doing? What's going on here? And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry, I was going to say I've got a spare bike seat for the back of a bike if you want it. Okay, you must understand that we are not from here. And your taxi drivers are a lot more nice than our taxi drivers.
I mean, that is the scene, probably my favourite scene in it, is where you meet the Minister for Housing. And
that actually happened as well. The Minister came out and he just saw that.
That's it. But I feel that way with the cycling in the city and with the housing in the city, is that they're so solvable. As in, you know, when you go to, for example, anywhere in Europe that's not here.
Anywhere, literally, anywhere.
Yeah, and they're like, what, you have these problems? How charming. Yeah. What a charming little city.
Everybody in Glasgow is like, oh, the housing is getting so bad. It's like £1,000 for a 3-bed place now. It's gone through the roof. Like, I'm going to need you to stop talking to me.
What was it like filming it in the city in August then? I mean, there's some nice shots of confused tourists on O'Connell Street. Yeah. I did notice that. Were they, what did you, I remember once trying to film something with Richard Iwadi, and if anyone, and if anyone asked, we would, you have to try and think of the most boring thing you could possibly say, and we would always say we were filming a documentary on the life of Boutros Ghali. He used to be the head of the UN, I think. Were there times when that became, people asked you what you were doing?
Do you remember those guys who were like, oh, I've got any pizza?
Actually, I remember that.
It was in the scene where you're racing Hilbert and he goes up the Austral Lane, and there were some people who were down by the canal and they were like, oh, have you got any pizza in the bag? And we're like,
that's how it works.
Oh no, it's actually a prop bag. Yeah. It's not real, we're making a movie. Like, oh, cool, but if you do have any spare pizza, let us know.
You'll be the first person we'll call. The worst was, so like, at the time Conor was living on Mountjoy Square, which is why a lot of it kind of takes place around there.
Oh, so he just had to get out of his house?
Yeah, well, like all the gaffs are just like people that are here, gaffs or were, and again now they're hotels. But that we were, so there was like a park there that we tried to use, but there's a playground in that park, and you're not allowed to film in a park that has a playground unless you're like so Dublin City Council were the biggest assholes. I was like, well, they're just doing their jobs. But like, there's a few times where, I was like, sorry man, do you have a permit there? And it's like, oh no, we're just filming our live or whatever. But then at another time we went to Phoenix Park at the bandstand there at the end, and like we finished filming for the day, and we were walking back to Owen's van, and your mum was like, what were you doing here? Like for the park, what's this? And so we had it done, so he was like, nothing. And he's like, if you have to hand that over now if you filmed it. And we were like, no, we didn't. And he's like, no, I'm. And so he's looking around like Phoenix Park and like looking around for someone to help, and we were just like, man, it's grand, like we're going now, we're leaving. And he's like, no, you have to. And also I just like loved the idea of like if he had got that and I just watched it back and it's just like absolute nonsense.
I do love
good in context.
When this gets general release and it's day one in the Savoy, the lad from the Phoenix Park will have to come and he'll be like, I knew it! You've got his money.
I mean, this really isn't a film designed to watch on the big screen, you know. I made this with watching on a phone in mind. You know? This isn't good for watching on the bus.
I don't know. I felt it in some of those chase sequences. Holy cow!
Yeah.
That must have been.
That was why the pre-production was so quick with Roxanna, was because I was like,
do you know how to cycle?
Yeah, you can cycle, right? I should have really checked with Brian Quinn if he could play the piano before he came to shoot that day.
Yeah, he was. Well, I mean,
listen, okay.
I'll just say right now, the bad guy in this film plays the piano and tinkers with bikes at weekends. That's me.
Edinburgh, you're probably at Edinburgh. That's why. But yeah, because there's a few times here I'm not acting, because we're like, what's it like to get into? Because we actually did some real life interviews for this. So the Archie guy would ring me and be like, so what's it like to get into character for something? I was like, there's no character. But one is that I'm just not musical at all. So that's not me acting. I don't know what he's doing. That was him shouting at me, be like, and then at one point Conor was like, so just maybe not act so dumb. I'm like, no, I'm not. And the other was when Conor asked me to draw a bike.
The drawing of the bike. That's the worst.
And he was like, no, I think you should do it as a bit. And I was like, Conor, I'm not even joking. This is the best. That one you see, and I draw myself. That was the best one of all. And then he was like, oh, I might just have to get Jill to do, and then we'll put it in a post or whatever. But you kept it in, so I'm happy with that.
Structurally, I just think it fits together so well. In that, I mean, it doesn't take much to make me cry. I'm with my friend Kathleen, and I was crying. My mother once said I'd cry at card tricks, but because the whole thing fits together so neatly at the end. When the friends come back and they open the back of it, that's all it took. And then the beautiful. I mean, I don't want to give too much away. This is being filmed, but there's an incredible look with a pen that belongs to the Irish police force. I mean, so what was the size of the crew? That's what I want to know.
We didn't have a dedicated sound person.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
That's all down to our incredible editor, Gary Sheridan, over there. Who there's about 40% of there's so much ADR in there you would not believe.
I never had one line that was wrong.
No, I would believe some of it. As someone who's interested in bikes, the fact that Roxanna's bike, you'd obviously use the audio of a really good Italian Tour de France racing bike. So she'd get on it sometimes and it would go you're like, wow, this is not the piece of shit that she's riding in the rain.
I tried to record my bike and it was totally silent. It's just too well tuned up.
Yeah. So were you were directing, or were you operating?
No, Owen O'Brien, who plays Garlic Dip Man, was the operator.
Garlic Dip.
Practically everybody on the crew was in the film at some point, including a lot of the musicians.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's literally everybody who didn't have a day job here.
Yeah.
Everyone who's free at 2 o'clock.
He was a funny comedian, but not too funny that they'd be in Edinburgh, you know what I mean?
We have, Alison was there for 40 minutes or something. My favorite about Alison was when she was like, do you think, after doing a few scenes, she was like, do you think this accent is going to be offensive to Dublin people? And we were like, you're doing a Dublin accent.
Literally, what are you talking about? I thought it was your accent, but just lower. And she's like, oh, okay, then that's grand.
I know where she's from. Yeah.
So would you, from a scripting point of view, was it changing then, Roxanna? I don't mean from exact perfect remembering of lines.
Yeah, I mean, we had that initial read through that none of the other actors ended up being in. And it was all, it was structurally all there, the story was the same, each scene was there, but then I think...
But lots of it was terrible.
There's just a few things, it's just that thing where, on the day, we would come up, there's just a few things I was I think this would be funny, this, and this, so change little things, and then just on the day, depending on who you're with, your man, Owen Colgan, is so gas, and what he does from Hardy Books, that's all improv.
Yeah.
So it's so natural, but it's not
the cul-de-sac where he just
I know, yeah. Although I think that was written, wasn't it? That was in the script, yeah.
To find a cul-de-sac for that.
But he just is so... it was so hard. Yeah, there's so many things like that. We're like, oh, it's still we'll find that. And then the little lane we got in. You were like, I think there's a good lane in Clontarf. Like, and it's like, that's kind of why we went to Clontarf to go to.
We need to set the film in Clontarf because of this lane that I saw.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we couldn't find
the narrow lane that the handlebars can't go down.
Because it was like, it has to, as we saw, that they could fit in. And yeah, it worked really well. But yeah, I just, that, and then sometimes, like, I mean, like, there's stuff that I just...
It was definitely like, because I came to you with the script and I had like some kind of draft of it. And we literally sat down and went through it line by line.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that because that sounds like a weird thing you would say.
Yeah,
so you corrected a lot of things and you added loads of bits in, and it was really good and really, it was really helpful and really great.
But I mean, it was all there. It was just kind of, and then there's just like every person that you kind of came in, you were like buzzing off their energy and that kind of way. Like there's a great cast in it, and
it's like 60, like because people think about making like micro budget or no budget films, and they're like, okay, we'll get 2 actors in one big house, and that'll be really cheap and easy to make the film. But actually, it's quite a lot easier to get 60 actors for half a day and just film on the street where no one can stop you.
Just like one when you see DCC walking up with a high vis.
I did that. I did that during the repeal thing. I was walking around with my daughter in the sling, and I had a big black coat on, and there was a guy outside because we were on Mountjoy Square. The guy parked the one of the like pro-life buses outside our house with a big ad. I was just being like grumpy with it. I was like, "You better not fucking leave that there alone." And he was like, "Oh, are you a traffic warden?" And I was like, "Yes." Yes, you're gonna have to call the council if you want to park that there. But it's there open till I'm like, you gotta move it. It's just like a blade, like a really fat Blade Runner. And he was like, I guess this is what they're like in Dublin. Off he went. That was a real.
Yeah, I particularly enjoy. I enjoy Tony Cantwell getting a cheese pizza in the dick. That was a lovely moment.
I actually didn't know who Tony Cantwell was before this film. Remember, it's 2018, guys, and I only connected it with Plune later. But it was so funny because there was this part. It was kind of because like we tried to do it as chronologically as we could, but we'd go back. We wouldn't do maybe cameos like because we wanted Tara Flynn, and they were saying like this part anyway. Tony wasn't free for it, and they were like, look, we'll do that at the very end or towards the end of the shoot. And I was like we're here, like, because we what's the name of that place? It's not Rathmines, it is Rathmines, is it? Ranelagh. Yeah, we're here anyway. Just get anyone, just see who's free. I was like, this person can do it, this person can do it. I was like, but then when Tony showed up, I was like, no one can play that smug cunt better than that. I was like, that was the part he was born to play, like a real creepy, weird, smug guy. I was like, yeah. And now that I know who it was like, now I can see why all the production was put on hold for him.
Yeah, casting. I mean,
you have an idea.
I've never auditioned anybody in my life, but I feel strongly about casting.
You nailed it, like Peter, who does the annoying YouTube guy with 600,000 hits. What that is.
Yeah. There's an even longer version of that sketch somewhere.
Oh, it's so good. There were so many bits like that as well, and then like Giles Brody, who was here tonight as well, like that he played the fire. And there was like 20 minutes of that. We were crying, but like I said, you just can't have that long. Like, and even in this, I really feel like he gets a really good scene out of it. Yeah. But like Peter's one, there was just so much of the.
I was with Jazz, where I was like, Jazz is an incredible improviser. And I was like, right, I'm going to write 2 lines for you at the end of this scene, then just do whatever you like. Yeah. Your character is not going to be returning. You can't possibly change the outcome of the rest of the film. Say whatever you want. And he came up with like the Waspers and all that.
Wasper. I mean, if there's a few spin-off movies from this.
I said that. I was like, he was like interrogating the guy. He had him in a chair then. He had like a lamp in his face. And I was just like, I want Netflix to like pick that up as
the Bicycle Thieves popped up cinematic universe can contain many of these.
BTPUU.
Shall we see if anyone in the audience has a question?
Yeah.
That might be.
Or a song?
I will distribute very small hats to question askers.
Oh, well, if it's a good question.
If it's chance of favourable line on us by the end.
Could anyone there? There's a fella there. that would be.
Hi, hello, thanks. I love this movie so much. I saw them at the FLA last year, and I made a Spotify playlist of the songs myself as the soundtrack. So I just want to ask a little bit about the soundtrack. Like, I've never even listening to so many of the songs over the past year.
So good.
Jinx Lennon at the end.
Jinx.
That is. Also, sorry, just before he answers that, that's presumably just some man crossing the road at the end. He gets labelled a cunt by Jinx Lennon for a good 15 seconds there. Wait till the legal case comes in from that guy.
Well, that was the guy.
only take as well.
Yeah, it was the only usable take. And me and Gary were editing that at like 4 in the morning going, it is very funny if we just freeze on him though, right? but actually I went to great lengths and really stretched the FSX budget. And if you look closely, you'll see that's actually me. That's my face that I put on that guy's face. And I walk across.
I actually was thinking, I was like, he actually looks like Conor in like 20 years.
Yeah, it's because I walked back and forth across my living room filming myself and then put my face on his face. Because he did look like even more of a cunt than I do. It's a shame.
Believe.
Yeah. He was like, oh, what are you doing there? Filming your movie, huh?
Tell us about some of the other choices then for music.
Well, so like I nationalised about 8 years ago and just was like, I can get into almost any band, so I'm just going to listen to exclusively Irish music from now on. And that was a very good decision because
like lots of your friends are like musicians, aren't they? Like,
no, I just liked their music and then became their friend. It's the really sad thing about being into small Irish bands is that you can't just be a fan of theirs for very long before they're like, hey Conor, and you're like, this isn't what I wanted.
I don't want friends who share a love of music with me.
I don't want to know about the actual relationship behind that song. I just want to hear the fucking song.
So now I have a side on the side.
Yeah.
Who have you got in there? List a few.
So who we got? We got No Monster Club. We got Skelecrats. Actually, Bronwyn Murphy Brown plays like on 4 tracks on it. Wow. It's the same. She plays flute on 2 of them, and she also sings Tennis Aberration from the start. So the Skelecrats. There's No Monster Club. There's Lions. There is Shasmooth is in there. There is. Oh God.
I was not asked to contribute any of my music to it. Instead, they got Brian Quinn, who can't play the piano, to play what he called at one point a G minor scale. What the hell is this?
He must just we need someone who was just really slightly better than us.
He's much cheaper than you, Dave.
Your music
no,
is
we'll get you in the sequel that we're going to make.
Oh, hang on. Exclusive here.
Yeah. You can be the leader of a tandem gang. What do they call it? The three-wheelers, are they still a thing in Dublin? I've not been here in years, so I fucking...
Yeah, it's all three-wheelers now. Yeah, I see the sequel is that you get really rich from selling off the bikes, and then you become landlords. You know what I mean? All of the characters are back as landlords, and then the new generation of you. But that's the change. You then show them, remind you what it used to be like.
Like Animal Farm.
I do think of this film as a bit like Mad Max 1. I'm like, yeah, Mad Max 1 is a pretty normal film about people driving around in apocalyptic Australia, but then it really amps up in Mad Max 2 when they got some money, you know. So hopefully someone's going to send us the money and then we'll get the bikes that are...
And Saoirse Ronan will be playing my part.
You'll get Chris O'Dowd instead of me.
Literally no one else on the planet can play that role.
Yeah, unbelievable, Roxanna. Go on, a round of applause for Roxanna. The IFC, as I insist on calling it still, have been so kind, so we don't want to overstay our welcome. Should we do two more questions? We take 2 more questions from the audience. Lava Suis. In the most inconvenient possible place. I think
that working anyway, so
just shout it.
Hi, you can hear me?
yeah.
Hi.
Great. It's a real showcase of how not set up for cyclists Dublin is. So I was wondering, how much the story is consciously about that, and how do you actually film those scenes? Because it actually looked dangerous to film.
The question for those at home is, why is Dublin's roads so bad and how did you film scenes on the bad roads? Is that approximately right? Yeah.
It's so funny because that fella who, or the woman who ran from the RT guy was like, I hear you do all your own stunts. Which Conor was to tell her, which, first of all, no, it's not true. Conor, but you, so, should we pull the curtain back?
There are a couple of scenes where like Roxanna's hair changes throughout the film, but you'll notice that in this one scene she has a very hairy arm as well.
Really hairy hand, and she's going down. They've grown about 3 times.
No, Roxanna did some dangerous stuff.
There was the bit that coming down the hill. There was one bit that I didn't. I was just freaked that you did.
Oh, that's like coming up to the
the incredible. I mean, Aoife Dooley is another of the great
oh my god
cameos in it, who's plays Roxanna's mum.
Yeah, in 1988. I don't know if any of you Eagle Eye viewers caught. That's when it was.
I just love how when she's on her deathbed, she says, 2003 turned out to be a bad year for me. That's real script writing there. Hello, Oscars!
I don't know what year it is in the film.
The subtext is just really subtle.
Also, sorry, just on that point, there's a lovely subtle one where she says it's 1988 and she swizzles around a Millennium milk bottle, which is a very obscure reference.
And way too small to see on any screen other than this one. This is the only time it's ever going to be really visible.
That's why we had to put the calendar in. But that is literally, and I'm like, again, really now pulling, the curtain's gone, pulled it, burned the curtain. But Conor just had that bottle and was like, I want to get this into the film somehow. And then I think we all came over just to have a lunch and we were like, oh yeah, because we knew we were going to do the flashback, but like, well, we could be 1988 and like, but then I wasn't there on the day of film. That's actually not me playing the really young version of me. But they got a child that looked very like me.
Who was eating or chewing?
Yeah.
She was drinking a bottle of milk. Drinking the same bottle of milk.
Oh, that child.
Yeah.
That child.
Yeah, that's my child actually.
That's his child.
Yeah. And she's actually seen the film, which is bad parenting on my part.
My cousin's little kid is here, and I didn't realise, like, no, there's no like bad stuff in it. And then I realised how many times the C word, may as well say that cunt, the whole song says it about 200 times. And then I just remember, especially the song at the end, I was like, oh my god, Jinx Lennon, stop! You said it enough now, we get it.
Yeah, there's like
no violence, there's no censor.
I think there's like 45 fucks and you say bicycle twice.
Well, I hope this has answered your question about cycling in Dublin.
The answer is we filmed mostly out the back of a car while Roxanna cycled along the road. It was really sketchy, but we wouldn't have, if we had tried to like do it properly, it would have cost an incredible amount of money and wouldn't have gotten to it.
And it wasn't Saoirse Ronan, so no one really cared. But if she hurt herself.
Yeah, Roxanna's got a lot of sisters, so
they're all here in the front row.
Just keep running through the Nic Liams. And we'll take one more question then. Has anyone else, if anyone else has anything at all that's on your mind, person right there.
How did you choose the yellow hats?
How did you choose the yellow hats?
That goes down to the production design, where we thought a lot about the colours that represent anger in the film. So you've got like the reds and the oranges of what she wears in her bag, and then as it transitions to this yellow, it's kind of a calmer shade of a similar colour. And they were cheap on.
You got a great deal on them.
Yeah. And they matched the bike. Yeah. I got that bike for 15 quid.
And yellow is the colour of the Tour de France leaders jersey. It's the cycling. I mean, how could you not know this? You not just have said, obviously.
Tour de France, yeah.
I don't cycle for pleasure, Dave.
It's fascinating to see how you just incorporated your lives into this, and to make it just feels. I don't know. I know it's made pre-Pando, but it just feels so now in this city. It's because it's not, the usual Irishy beautiful images of a horse coming out of a lift or whatever. Things that normally happen in the Irish movies.
Coming out of a child.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead, it's the Millennium milk bottle getting swizzled around to get it in shot. No, I think it's an absolutely superb film. I think you are amazing in it. I think you've done an incredible piece of work, and I think to have so many people here who've been bigly involved in it.
I feel like I did about 30% of it, based on just how much help and work. Like I can't relate. There's just so many people and so much help we got. It was tremendous, and I'm really grateful for everyone that helped me in every single way. And yes, thank you all. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Conor O'Toole, Roxanna Nic Liam.